I broke off our engagement after my cheating fiancée attempted to convince me that her extramarital affair was just a test. Come with me as I go back to the very first. My fiancée and I gathered at the location of our wedding 4 months before the big day yesterday to go over last-minute arrangements. Since she was going straight from work, we took separate cars to the event. At the close of our meeting, she asked if it would be all if I could give her a ride home after her buddy dropped off her rental car. Since it wasn't far from our house and I was already familiar with her acquaintance, I agreed without giving it much thought. Upon returning home, I spent the following 3 hours attempting to contact her. There is no response. When the clock struck 1:30, I sent a text message to her friend to see if she was all right. I was filled with anxiety. My fiancée eventually returns home, apologizes for the delay, and explains that she spent some time with a friend before heading out. Please let me know next time, it's not a big deal. Apologies for not being able to attend the event. I didn't get the chance to meet your fiancée tonight. Her buddy writes back to me a little while later. Questioned her motives, and she walked out of the room after saying she didn't realize she couldn't influence her friend's words. I'm completely drained at this stage. I checked her phone records, which is something I've never done before, but now I'm glad I did. I witnessed her calling her friend, who had texted me immediately after she went outside, as soon as she stepped outside. On the way to the venue, I also saw a long call from a number I wasn't familiar with. Along with a slew of additional questions, I wanted to know where they rented their car. Her responses were rapid and appeared to be genuine. Maybe I'm going insane. I told myself I should probably just relax and get some sleep. I apologized for interrogating her the night before and asked her to look at a text message from her buddy requesting that she pick her up this morning. Her response was negative. I mentioned that I noticed you were on the phone yesterday when we crossed paths on the way to the venue. Could you tell me who it was? Oh, that's the friend I ended up picking up later on, she added. I could tell she was lying then. I insisted such was not the case after reviewing her phone records. She shifted gears and said, "Oh, I had to meet up with a colleague to talk about a patient." Who is that colleague, before adding, "Why couldn't we just talk about it over the phone? I should probably just explain him the methods in person." Michael is his name. I understand. I am absolutely drained right now. We always tell each other the truth. Along with Michael, I requested to see the texts. She claimed she wouldn't let me see. Since there is nothing to conceal, I reasoned, why not? Have you been unfaithful? Is being together something you no longer desire? She then starts to point out all the ways I'm flawed after a brief pause. Work consumes me. I fail to dedicate sufficient time. She is unresponsive. At this stage, I am astounded. I am totally unaware of all of this. Now that I've started to put the pieces together, I can tell that something fishy is happening. I requested access to the texts once more. After half an hour of persuasion, I finally got access to these texts, and wow, were they wild and sexual and full of shit about me and her desires to be with them, and their undeniable love for each other. She has been at her job for 1.5 months. Her coworker is a man who is 15 to 20 years her senior, divorced, and the parent of several children. For the past several months, I have been providing for her financially while she has been getting back on her feet and working extra to avoid getting a part-time job. Along with our 3 canine companions and 1 equine, we call our home. I am very mortified about the book right now. We were planning to tie the knot in 4 months, so any guidance would be very appreciated. I did not anticipate this. Revision 1. Just wanted to give you an update. I finally had a chance to sit down with her tonight to go over this. Once again, she entered the room attempting to pin her actions on me. Convincing myself that my failure to communicate and listen directly led to the dishonesty and deceit. If I had listened more carefully, she claimed, she never would have had to initiate contact with this man. I failed to give her the attention she deserves because I am always at work, so that she wouldn't have to take a part-time job to help support the family. I attempted to explain that I was working more hours to help out financially. It is perplexing that she expressed a preference for obtaining a part-time work. We could get past this, she thought, since it was brief, only a week, and they only made out once. She evaded my questions about the text in which she trashed me and discussed our sexual relationship, so I was unable to get any response. I reassured her that I am not to blame for what is transpiring. She ought to have talked to me or considered the consequences before going to such extremes. Her behavior has made it so that I will never trust her again. It is entirely up to her whether she wishes to attempt to make me look bad. I finally got through this section by saying, listen, we just really need to figure out the house we own jointly, and the 3 dogs things cooled down a little further. We decided that I should stay and buy her out, or we should sell and move on. Each of us will receive a TVD for our dog. I will keep you all updated on the progress. But that's where we left off tonight. I am interested in hearing your thoughts on the house. I have the means to cover it on my own, but it's on roughly 3 000 square feet of land that she purchased just so she could keep her horse. She plans to board the horse at a stable before she goes. I had the opportunity to sit down and have a 3-hour talk with her tonight, which was the third day. We discussed our history together and how it all came to a head. It all started when she started nitpicking about my dating mistakes, disconnection from others, and an excessive amount of time spent working and glued to my phone. None of these things bother me. My motivation for working so hard was to provide for my family. On the side, I manage an online store where 24-hour sales and one-man customer care are the norm. I am always working. Putting down my phone the night before and getting back to people the following day is definitely something I should have done better. I had no idea she was dissatisfied with anything because we failed to communicate, which is an illustration of the problem on both sides. Nobody ever told me about it. She claimed she never gave me an opportunity to work on it because she was afraid I would have gotten angry if she had told me. I certainly am not flawless, and there are plenty of occasions when my words or actions are taken the wrong way by her. I was attempting to assist her with a budget and a strategy to get her financial house in order a week or two ago, so this is an example of what I mean. Just so you know, I do this all the time for customers in the financial industry. She said that she owed me around $1,000 and would repay me with her next paycheck. Here, I'll walk you through the money transfers I've made to our joint account. I think it's a little more than that. It exceeded $5,000 in the end. I didn't want to bring her down, but I wanted her to see how big of an impact I've been making. To her, it seemed like I was attempting to embarrass her. Perhaps my timing was poor, but all I wanted to do was offer a hand. I was simply concerned about our financial stability. She said I've been too preoccupied with money recently. I was going into budget overload, trying to make sure we had enough money to cover the wedding costs, which were still fairly high. What truly gets under my skin is her insistence on blaming my shortcomings for her actions. She expresses her shock that I would squander 7 years of our relationship in this way. She threw it away. I had to tell her multiple times that I should have kept this between ourselves. She said I informed too many people too soon. Additionally, she mentioned that if I had been a more effective listener and communicator, she wouldn't have needed to approach someone else. Based on everything I've read, I've finally figured out how big of an affair this is. 2 weeks before to the Viaduct text, they started conversing. I'm not sure if they had ever met up outside of work, but this time he invited her to the park to play basketball and chat. They ended up making out after she met him. In all honesty, I still think it hasn't progressed above this point. However, I'm certain it will happen soon. He is not my boyfriend, she claims. I also don't know if she's with him or a girlfriend. She disappeared tonight. I hope this gets sorted out soon because it is a rather uncomfortable living arrangement. I believe she would prefer that I return to her side and make amends. The fundamental problem, in my opinion, was a chronic breakdown in communication. We settled into a pattern, went about our mundane daily lives, and this issue festered unchecked for far too long. She pretended to be someone else rather than speak to me, lied to me directly, and spread rumors about me. She has a devious side, and I doubt I'll ever trust her again. I doubt I could ever be genuinely pleased doing this, even if it would be the easiest thing to do. I am now feeling better because I have identified the underlying problem. Even if nothing more comes out of it, I'll be able to work on my character defects and communication problems while also getting a new viewpoint. Today I began attending to the gym regularly and intend to continue doing so. Additionally, I intend to resume my studies for the Certified Financial Planner credential. For the sake of my mental health, I skipped work for a week. I officially canceled the date of the wedding today by calling the location. Unless the date can be resold to another unlikely party, we were able to recover part of the money but still lost a little. I also checked up with her parents to make sure they were informed. Their distance makes them understandably anxious. Every step of the way, I reassure them that their daughter is safe and that they shouldn't be worried. I looked into it, and with current interest rates, I can't even locate a flat for less than what I'm paying for this mortgage. I won't be able to find a comparable property. Attempting to purchase her share and assisting her in finding a flat seems like my best bet. For the moment, she seems nice. So that I can determine whether it's feasible for me to put down half the equity, we're going to have an appraiser come out and look at the property. Have any of your opinions on the matter been swayed by this? Am I dealing with this correctly? What am I missing that would cause this to happen? Third update. It has been an incredibly hectic, emotional, and interesting month since this whole thing unfolded, and I am nearly due an update from everyone. As painful as it is to confess, I was a pitiful wreck groveling to get back with this cheating pose in the days following this incident. However, I had to do it in order to go on. Attempts to do the right thing and improve my situation were fruitless while I was in this vulnerable state. It was said that she had to choose between me and him, and she made the correct choice by choosing him. It was at that moment that I came to the realization that I needed to prioritize myself and stop letting my self-esteem plummet. Focusing on one's own needs is difficult after 7 years of taking care of other people. But that is just what I have been doing ever since. Our shared savings accounts are now visible in my personal checking account. After calculating my due, I sent half of the money back to our joint account so she could have it. Since this occurred, I have been exercising daily. Improving my appearance not only makes me happy, but it also gives me the illusion that I've gone suit shopping, gotten a massage, or spent time with loved ones. The fact that this connection was cutting me off from my loved ones should have been a major warning sign, but I failed to recognize it. Selfish things only. I simply would not go shopping for clothing. Taking care of my cigarette partner and the animals was a constant source of anxiety for me. For the first time ever, I've started going to therapy once a week. In the process of making decisions, it aids me to discuss things out. As long as I am committed to bettering myself, I will likely keep doing it even after this scenario is resolved. Big stuff first, my ex-housemate and I are still cohabitating. She is currently sound asleep in the guest room. And at this time, the only thing we can talk about is whether or not the dogs were fed. I find her to be an awful human being, and she will always attribute this to me, regardless of my words. It shows hypocrisy and a lack of self-control to accuse someone of having communication issues and then use it as a reason to avoid telling me how she feels and cheat. Her unreasonableness is the reason I gave up trying to reason with her. I have been diligently continuing the process of listing the house for sale. The anticipated sale price was satisfactory, so I contacted an agency. Then she wants me to talk to 2 other agents to get their takes on things, and among which her companion suggested one. Yes, I was the one that called everyone, scheduled everything, and met with them all. The relationship has always been like way. I have been prepared to do whatever it takes to escape from this place, regardless of how unfair it is. We met with all 3 agents and ultimately decided to work with the first one. The house was placed for sale on Sunday night after pictures were taken on Sunday. Next Saturday is the open house. The results are already receiving a great deal of interest. At some point in the future, she plans to transport the horse to a stable. We spoke about the dogs, and I said I'd take one or none. She implied that she would accompany all 3 of them in order to maintain their unity. If arguing over who gets to keep one will cause them to drift apart, I'd rather not because they're a cheerful bunch. For my own narcissistic benefit, it lets me seek a fresh start. I met someone out of the blue about a week ago, and since then we've been spending a lot of time together. I am not coming into this with any inflated expectations, yet spending time with her is fun. She has been a tremendous support to me because she has been through something similar before. Speaking with a strong, self-reliant woman has been enlightening. It has brought to light the fact that my ex-boyfriend was an egotistical, dependent, and manipulative narcissist. I should have paid more attention to the cautions of those close to me a long time ago. Being stuck in a routine was a real trap for me. It was a comfortable position to be in, but I wasn't enjoying it. Great animals, spacious property, and a lovely home I didn't want to cause a stir. After that, I proceeded without stopping. This won't hit you unless you give yourself some space to think about it. Some may think it was a waste of time, but I'm seeing it more as a chance to grow. In the future, I will pay more attention to warning signs. The simplicity trap is not going to have an effect on me. Keeping in touch with loved ones is something I will never stop doing. Finally, I'd like to thank everyone who took the time to comment on my initial post. Your support means the world to me. I didn't know what to do, so I posted on Reddit. You guys are incredible for reaching out to a total stranger on Reddit in an effort to lend a hand. Every single comment was helpful in getting me to this point, and I read them all. No matter what the future holds, I am excited to start a new chapter in my life. Seriously, I'm immensely grateful to everyone. Fourth, recent revision. To everyone, I apologize for the length of time that has passed since I last provided an update on this matter. The fact that this occurred over 4 months ago is mind-boggling. Everything has improved with time, and I hope that whoever finds this while going through a similar scenario may find solace in the fact that time heals all wounds. I lived with my ex-roommate until about the middle of May. Being with her and the dogs while I knew my life had gone was heartbreaking. We lived together as roommates, yet we hated one another. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get away from her. The dogs were free to come and go as they pleased during the night, even though we all slept in separate bedrooms. Open doors. During her stay at the previous residence, she hardly slept out of bed at all after the first few weeks. But the non-stop phoning and texting did not. I believe they opted to stay friends rather than seek a romantic relationship. I didn't give it much thought to inquire, so I can't say for sure. Midway through May, she and 2 of the 3 dogs departed. Farewelling them was a terrible experience. The pain I experienced was comparable to that of losing a loved one. I went to a dog park with my ex-girlfriend and our 2 canines on multiple occasions during my final month there. I felt better knowing that they were coping well without me, even if they were pleased to see me and recognized me. Other than checking in on the dog's adjustment, there wasn't any talk with the ex. Quite frankly, she relocated to a dilapidated property and neighborhood. The dogs had their own garden, but it wasn't fenced in. As far as I was informed, she was diligently completing the fence. During this time, I was a daily gym goer. With my side hustle, I worked really hard as well. I wanted to be ready since I knew things were going to get pricey. I made 6 figures from this side hustle between March and June 15th, when I moved out. 0 major purchases were also made by me. Along with the money I made from selling my previous home, this helped me put away a substantial amount of money. The ability to buy a home in a desirable neighborhood with enough space for my dog to run about in was a direct result of this. Although selling the old house was a breeze, purchasing the new house was a true nightmare. The sellers of my previous home were kind enough to let me rent it back from them until June 15th, which was a huge relief. By the end of May, I had submitted bids on 5 different residences, with the last one eventually accepted. Being away from the previous place is very great. My ex-girlfriend left with the other 2 dogs, and ever since then, the memories of that place have been nagging at me. The place was eerily vacant. Although the move was a hassle, assistance from loved ones came through in a big way. It is becoming more and more like home every day now that I have been here for a little over a month. My girlfriend of official status is the same woman with whom I am still seeing. It is good that I now reside somewhat closer to her. I feel so fortunate to have her as a part of my life since she treats me so kindly. I was able to get through this with her support, and she has been really understanding and supportive of my need for space and emotional fluctuations. Being around someone with such excellent communication skills is helping me become a better communicator overall. There has been a marked improvement in my emotional intelligence as well. Everything in life is fine. Despite the fact that this was among the most trying experiences of my life, I am grateful that it occurred. A whore who was totally unappreciative and focused on herself was going to be my spouse. Because I was content with my life as it was, and didn't want to risk upsetting my animals or losing my home, I endured my misery. I intend to keep developing my character and discovering what it is that I really desire. My commitment to giving my dog the greatest life possible will remain unwavering. I have frequent thoughts about my ex-partner, including both pleasant and unpleasant recollections. The insight I gained from my new therapist about the likelihood that she will never offer the apology I desire has been invaluable. She simply cannot bring herself to acknowledge the error of her ways. There has been a severe lack of contact between my ex and me. She and the other 2 dogs will never see the light of day again in my life. What's best for everyone? I've accepted that. Leave a remark, and I'll be pleased to answer any queries you may have or anything I may have omitted. I will not be continuing to post about this matter because it has already concluded. Please know how much I appreciate you sticking with me and your encouragement during this ordeal.